Welcome to the Liar Liar Pants on Fire book tag. I haven't done a tag in a while, so I thought I'd come up with something original. The last tags I think I did were the Mount Rushmore book tag, or the Your Mount Rushmore book tag, and the Around the World in 80 Days book tag. And then I also did a 6 Degrees of Separation book tag. These were all original tags I created. This will also be an original tag. And the idea here is I'm going to have 10 prompts, and then I will tag some other booktubers and ask them to do this tag as well, and we'll see what their answers are, see if they can do this. Anyone who knows me through BookTube knows that I believe that when you're doing a tag, rules are meant to be bent and broken. I'm going to ask some other booktubers to do this tag, but those of you who are watching this, if you're not booktubers, but you also want to participate, there is a comments section. I would like you to subscribe to this channel because it helps the channel, but I'd also like you to participate in the comments and answer as many of these questions as you want. And if there are ones that are difficult, make up your own questions. Tell me questions I should have asked. I'm totally in for all of that. Prompt number 1, a book with a really low rating that should be rated higher. And the idea here is I would start with thinking about booktubers who've maybe rated a book low and you thought it should have been ranked higher. I don't know what Moid from Media Death Cult ranked this book, but I know that he spoke about it and didn't have the nicest things to say. So I'm going to say Ready Player One because I really enjoyed this book, and I know it's not fashionable on BookTube to say that, but I enjoyed it. I think it accomplished what it wanted to. It's a good story. It's about this kid, not Parzival, that's his name in the virtual world, Wade Watts. He's this kid. It's his far future. He's in Columbus, Ohio, and they live in these stacks, which are stacked trailer homes. And the world's just kind of so miserable that everybody wears goggles and these haptic suits, and they go into this virtual world called the Oasis. They escape reality. You can go to different planets. You can go on quests. It's like reading a video game. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's a 5-star book, but maybe it's a 3-star, or for many people, especially for young readers, I think it's a 4-star book. I know that Moid either panned it or came close to panning it, so he's going to get my first Liar Liar Pants on Fire award. For prompt number 2, this is where the award givers are the liar. This is a book that was maybe highly rated, or maybe they gave it an award or nominated for an award, or it got a lot of really high praise. Again, rules are meant to be bent or broken, so it doesn't have to have gotten an award. It could be just the opposite of prompt 1, where it was something that was just ranked much higher than it should have been ranked, which you could also use for prompt number 1. So I'm going to go with Clara and the Sun. This came out, I think, 2 years ago. I think the Washington Post called this one of the best top 10 books of 2021. To me, that was ridiculous, and I know it was nominated for some awards as well and was shortlisted for some book prizes. That, to me, doesn't make any sense. I feel like this was a book that if it had any other name on it other than Kazuo Ishiguro, who also wrote Never Let Me Go, which is a book I really, really like. I had it on my top 210 list. If his name wasn't on it, I don't think this book would have been published. If it was published, I don't think it would have had a lot of success. It's in that category of using artificial life or AI or robots to as a lens for examining humanity. When you do that, you're in league with Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, Alistair Reynolds, Stanislaw Lem, and so many other great classic sci-fi authors that have done that so well. This did not live up to it. That bar is set really high. This came in well below. The writing, though, it's Ishiguro, so the writing was very, very good, but the plot, the story, everything else about it was just not up to, I think, his standard or the standard of this area of the science fiction genre. Prompt number 3 is a book with an unreliable narrator, or a character that just lies, or somebody is caught lying. It could be just somebody lies at some point in the book. So anything with a book that has lying in it, but really I'd like to find like an unreliable character or something that has a big lie all around it. If you're having trouble with that, you could even come up with a book that has like an inconvenient truth, so you can go the opposite side there. I'm going to go with, just because it's fresh on my mind because I reviewed both of these recently, or this one I reviewed recently, A Scanner Darkly by Philip K. Dick. And I could also throw in Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. In Scanner Darkly, the big lie is that, or the unreliable narrator is Bob Arctor, who is an undercover police officer. And so there's a lie there in that he's undercover and he's lying to those around him. but it's also an unreliable narrator in a sense because he's kind of getting lost in the drug abuse. This is a typical trope in undercover police fiction stories. You start using and then you kind of get lost in it too. So there's a little bit of that. So I think that's a really good choice for this one. In Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, the lie sort of is that they're trying to find out who is an android. And so they do these empathy tests and ask a lot of questions. And the androids don't want you to know they're androids. So that's their lie. Ender's Game would be a good one here because you've got, I'm not going to tell you what actually happens and what the exact big lie is, but you have the powers that be. The military industrial complex recruits these children into battle school. Well, guess what? Battle school is not just little battles. It's not all. And we do know that they're in battle school because we want to find these leaders who are going to go off to war with the buggers. But what's actually happening in the battle school and in some of the competitions, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Prompt number 4, a science fiction book that imagined the future and got something like technology, behavior, society, how people behave, got it really, really wrong. I'm going to go with City by Clifford Simak. So the thing that they got really wrong, there's a lot of things in a lot of Simak's writing that I think, ended up not being very prescient or was off. I don't mind that in science fiction. I think some people will pan a science fiction book because, it predicted this thing in 1940 and it's 2020 now and this didn't come to pass. Well, at that time it was interesting to imagine it. One of the things that he imagines in City is that people are going to have, personal helicopters, and that's how they're going to get around as people get away from the city. People don't want to live in the cities because at this time when Simak wrote this, we had this fear of what if we have nuclear war? You don't want to be in a city center because those are the places that are going to get hit. So people lived outside of the cities. So maybe this was going to become a thing where people would travel back and forth using helicopters. Guess what? That did not come to pass. Prompt number 5, a time travel or an alternate history book. It doesn't have to be the science fiction genre. You could really go any genre with this. This is not specifically a science fiction book tag. So a science fiction novel, history book, whatever, in which our present reality is completely a lie. So I'm going to go back to Philip K. Dick because he's in my mind, and I actually didn't prepare to answer this question. So I'm just going to go with an obvious one, and that is Man in the High Castle. And in Man in the High Castle by Philip K. Dick, the idea is that we did not win World War II. The Germans and the Japanese did, and guess what? The United States, we've cut it in half, and on the West Coast, we've got the Japanese have taken over, and on the East Coast, we have the Germans in charge. So the United States looks a lot different, and then it gets all very science fiction-y as you get into the story. Really good book. People are hit or miss on this one for Philip K. Dick. I tend to recommend this one because I think it's just such an interesting concept to start with, and I do have this on my top 210 science fiction books list. Prompt number 6. Now this one might be a tough one. This is a book that you've read and then you've changed your opinion on it, thus making your previous take almost look like a lie. It's you're the liar. Take a look in the mirror. This one I didn't prepare for either, but I'm going to go with a book that I'm reading right now, and this is sort of a tricky one. I have this on my top 210 list and pretty high up, but this is a book that I really loved and an author that I really love, so it pains me to put this here. But I'm going to go with A Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This was really high on my top 210 list, and I still really like it. I'm rereading it currently, and the first time I've read this, I read the hardcover book of it, and now I've been listening to it, and I actually really like the narrator. It's not a professional narrator, but the woman reading it really sounds like the character who's telling the story in first person is actually telling it herself, so I really like that, but it's not landing on me with as much punch as I think it did the first time. And that's interesting because the person who did this YouTube reading of the book, and again, this is not on her, but as I got through, I was about halfway through, and then there's a gap. So now I have to go back to my softcover book that I have, and I was reading it to catch up so that I can go back to the audiobook. This is all really confusing, Anyway, I paused, and I stepped away from it for a while. I went back to it, and I started listening to it again from the beginning, and I'm actually really enjoying it again. So there's your story for this one. Let's just move on. Prompt number 7, catch your friend in a lie. Ask a booktuber friend the same question that I just asked in prompt 6, and then share that when you do your tag. You can lie on this one too. This is the Liar Pants on Fire book tag, so if you were ever going to lie, this would be the one to do it. You can just make this up and You can either tell us that you're lying and let us in on the deceit, or you can pretend like you actually did this. I don't care. Just tell me a booktuber, tell me that you asked them this question, and tell me what their answer was. Prompt number 8. I don't like to watch BookTube. I don't like to watch other booktubers. That's also a lie. I do. Plug a favorite video from the friend that you just mentioned on prompt 7, and then recommend that video to me and then to everybody else. Obviously, I didn't prepare to answer that question either. I did not ask anybody. Let's pretend I asked my friend Whitney from The Secret Sauce of Storycraft. And I want to plug her, especially because she just helped me on my last video when I did my top 10 books that stick with me video. If you haven't watched that one, check it out. Whitney took that video and she did some edits for me. Like, she put all the countdown, the 10, 9, 8, all those graphics. I was really grateful for that. So I'm going to plug her video, which is very cool. And that is, her video is simply titled Modern Science Fiction Books. Here's the thumbnail for that one. Go check that one out. That's a really good one. I'm trying to think, could I answer number 7 if I asked Whitney what book she... No, I did ask her because I was talking about this, but I wasn't asking her for this. But I asked her and she said, oh, I haven't reread anything. So yeah, if I planned ahead, I would have lied. Let's move on. The final prompt, the 10th prompt, even that's a lie. This is not the 10th prompt. This is the 9th prompt. This whole thing is built on a web and foundation of lies. Tag 4 other booktubers to do this original tag. I'm going to do the same. More lies. I'm actually going to tag like 17 people. Of course, I'm going to tag Whitney at The Secret Sauce of Storycraft, my friend Bethany at Beautifully Bookish Bethany, my buddy Jonathan at Words in Time, Daisy Ex Machina, the artist formerly known as the BookTube Goddess, my buddy Steve Donahue, Derry from Derry's Read It Before, Alan at the Library of Alexandria, Kristen and Asia at Plots with a Twist, Jess Owens, She Was Only Evie, Andrew's Wizardly Reads, Jimmy at the Fantasy Network, Philip Chase, Matt at Bookpilled, Bridger at Library Ladder, Sci-Fi Scavenger, and Rachel at the Shades of Orange. Thank you for watching. I'm Michael Leverts, and this is Fit to be Read.